Today I'm chatting with author C T Huxley, whose book Brock Fair is the subject of this week's book tour. The story takes us back to the Iron Age into a world of tribal loyalty, ambition, and hard decisions. I'm really looking forward to diving into the story of him. Thanks for joining us, Cameron.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, you very kindly agreed to answer some questions, so I'd like to start by asking you about your time in the army. You spent 11 years there before turning to writing. How did that experience shape the way you explore leadership, power, and survival in your fiction?
Uh, yeah, I had to think about this question. I joined the army at 16, so I
Mhm.
didn't really know anything else before then. So the army pretty much shaped me to who I am today. The leadership, the confidence, everything that came with the military, it just came as second nature. I didn't really know anything else. Um, and I suppose that does come into the book. You know, when I do discuss leadership, to me, it's just second nature, really. I think.
Mhm. And your novel's set in the early Iron Age in a world of tribal alliances and brutal politics. What drew you to that era, and how did you go about building the world?
Uh, I've always been fascinated by history, British history,
Hmm.
but what I tend to find was that the period before the Romans arrived, we didn't really know much about it. We can guess by burial sites, tools, weapons, archaeology sites. We sort of discover these findings, and we put pieces together. So I chose this period as a bit of a blank canvas, where I felt I was kind of free to essentially do what I wanted, because it's an open world. We didn't really know anything about the Celts, the Picts. We find arrowheads, and we do work with it, and we try and picture a puzzle. We sort of put these pieces in place, but we don't actually know anything about them. So I just felt like I was free to just explore what I wanted and how I wanted to do it.
Hmm. That makes sense. And one of your characters, Chieftain Eldon, he's a very powerful and ruthless leader. Do you see him as purely villainous or someone who believes he's doing what's necessary for his people?
I don't see Alden as a villain. I do think leadership can be complicated. Look at our own
Hmm.
politics. One decision is split. And some people enjoy the decision, some people don't enjoy that decision. And I do think that was possibly the same in that era. As a leader, you're going to make decisions that are going to upset people. In Eldon's case, I see him as a protector.
Hmm.
He's protecting his tribe. He's protecting his tribe's future. Yeah, he wants strength over everything else. He's a powerful man, and naturally, he wants more power. It is a dangerous world. Sometimes you've got to be a dangerous man to survive.
Yeah, so maybe a hero to some and a villain to others.
Possibly.
Another of your characters, Cara, is only 13 snows, yet she's skilled, independent, and caught at the centre of suspicion and conflict in the novel. So, what inspired her character, and what does she represent to you within the story?
So I started writing Brock for about 8 years ago.
Hmm.
And at that time, there wasn't many strong female characters. I believe it was possibly the start of females becoming strong characters. In films, it was all James Bond, John Wick, that sort of stuff. It was all strong male characters. And I don't know why. I just felt like a young female character um, would work. It was her struggle to survive in a harsh world, um, that particularly didn't really care about gender. I don't really care about gender. You are who you are.
Hmm.
And when I started writing this story, I I sort of wanted a strong female character, not necessarily a fully grown woman just yet, but possibly someone who was growing up to be a woman, and
Mhm.
what it meant for her to grow up in such a time where survival was survival.
Mhm. Yeah. And at its heart, the book seems to ask difficult questions about loyalty, revenge, and survival. When readers close the final page, what do you hope stays with them the most?
Um, uh, yeah, it's a hard one. This one, isn't it? It's one of the deeper ideas I wanted to explore was wealth. That was one of the meanings that one of the modern life experience that I didn't want to put in my book. The
Hmm.
thought of money. Um, I've had jobs where I've earned good money and I've chased money, but I didn't necessarily feel wealthy. So one of the
Hmm.
one of the questions I sort of ask myself today is, what is wealth? At the end of the day, the numbers on your bank account screen don't mean anything. To me, wealth is living, and that
Hmm.
that is probably one message I would like for readers to take away is it doesn't matter how much money you earn, it's how you are as a person that defines wealth.
That's a really beautiful message, a definite good one to
That's
take away. But you've also created some children's books. Can you share something about those stories?
yes, so I've got four children's books, two of which I'm really excited about. And it comes from just playing around with my own children. I want to encourage them to read and write just as much as I do. My wife's a teacher, so she goes and does these um, sort of lessons to try and encourage people to educate themselves more. And the stats that she comes home with, it's something that sticks with me. So many children have never heard a male read to them. So many
Mm.
kids don't even own books. So that's probably where I try and push my own kids. So in our sort of playful messing about days, we do create these ideas, and sometimes I do have to pull myself away. Right, get my notepad. This sounds brilliant. So two of the books that we've created recently is Dingo's Donut Diner, which is it's a tongue twister,
Hmm.
um, and it's very fun. It's more fun for the children to listen to somebody read out because it's such a tongue twister. You do get muddled
Yeah.
up. And that's out now. And joining it at the end of this week is Sean Shrimp's Smoothie Shack, which is the same tongue twister, more animals from under the sea. Come into Sean Shrimp's Smoothie Shack for some delights, if we like. So yeah, we find animals. So in Duncan Dingo's Donut Diner, we have Ollie the octopus. He comes and asks for an orange and oyster assortment, so it's all O's. And then we have Richard the rhino, and they're quite interesting books, shall we say?
I'm absolutely loving all the alliterations.
It's
It's really
listening to
fun.
my daughter read it yesterday. Even I was like, "Oh my god, this is so hard work."
Oh, brilliant. We'll be looking forward to having those on sale in Chapters and
I
Chai and on our
I will
website.
I'll bring some in. I've got a big pile on order, so I will bring some in as soon as I can.
Excellent. Now, turning back briefly to Brock Fur, I know you have a sequel planned for it. So, without giving any spoilers, what can readers expect?
So the sequel is the Southern Promise. I've titled them. Uh,
So, the Northern Bow's the first one, and this one's the Southern Promise. Yeah.
yes, so we got the Northern Bow, which refers to Kara and her skills with the bow. The Southern Promise is the story continues. It's it's the Southern chieftain's response to Eldon's attempts at betrayal, and um, where the tension follows. So it's this more of the southern lands coming into it. You know, the stronger characters, more developed. I feel like I've learned a lot from jumping from book to book. I do feel like my characters are stronger, and hopefully part two creates that same page turning drive that everybody keeps telling me that they've got.
Yeah, I have been hearing that too. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, Cameron. Thank you so much for sharing more about the story and the world behind it. And if you'd like to meet Cameron in person, he'll be signing copies of his book at Jefferson Chai on the Stockton-on-Tees High Street on Saturday, March the 21st, between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. We'd love to see you there. Thank you very much, Cameron.
Thank you very much. Thank you.